A very good morning and a very happy Valentine's Day to all of you. All my dear friends of Faculty of Commerce SMPIC of GLS University. Uh, you are very fortunate today to have this very knowledgeable and very informative session today as a part of your regular sessions of the FC of foundation course of semester 6 that we have a comprehensive viva. Friends, you know that we've been organizing and we've been inviting experts from various fields to help you learn even more than what your curriculum is and what your faculty have been teaching. As a part of this expert session, today we have Dr. Nitin Pillai, as you already know. Uh, and we are very eager to listen to him on a topic which is quite relevant not only as a student life, but whatever the walk of life you might be in. This particular skill that Dr. Pillai is going to talk about today is going to be helpful and relevant to you all. And I'm talking about nothing else but public speaking. This is a skill, as I have already told you, that it is a mysterious skill kind of a thing, because some people, they just have it, and some people who don't have it, they really wonder how do those who have it, right? So it's a mystery, and Dr. Nitin Pillai is here with us today to demystify that skill to you, that is public speaking. uh, Without taking much time, I'll be talking about that, and Pillai sir will be talking about that. But before that, I'm very fortunate and happy to invite our Dean, Dr. M.E. Joki, to say a few words, sir, because he is the one instrumental behind all these sessions. It is his brainchild to involve experts also from outside to enhance the knowledge base of the students for the benefit of the students of SMPIC. So let's hear it from Joki sir himself. Joki sir, over to you.
Thank you, Keyur sir. Good morning, Dr. Nitin Pillai, the expert speaker of the day, Keyur sir, and dear students. I fully agree to what Keyur sir shared for the public speaking. I feel communication is the backbone of our society. It allows us to form connections, influence decision, and motivate change. And I think without communication skills, the ability to progress in the working world and in life itself would be nearly impossible. Rightly mentioned by Keyur sir, public speaking is one of the most important and I say most dreaded forms of communication. Glossophobia or speech anxiety is the most common fear people have across the globe. Proper planning and preparation will prevent poor performance. And we are extremely fortunate to have Dr. Nitin Pillai, the language and the communication expert, who will be conducting today's session on demystifying public speaking. I'm sure that Nitin sir is going to guide us to eliminate and overcome the public speaking anxiety and will turn your fear of public speaking into confidence. I express sincere gratitude to Dr. Nitin Pillai for accepting our invitation for today's session. Thank you so much, sir. John Powell said, and I hereby quote, "Communication works for those who work at it." Appreciate huge effort of Dr. Keyur sir for planning and coordinating today's very relevant session. Thank you so much. Requesting Keyur sir to take it forward.
Thanks a lot, Joki sir. Dale Carnegie is of the opinion that great speakers are not born, they are trained. And what better if we could have the trainer like Dr. Nitin Pillai today? He is the right person. We cannot have any person better than Dr. Nitin Pillai to take this session and engage this session and talk about presentation skills, public speaking, and all, and clear the sky, bring the clarity, and demystify this whole mystery called public speaking to us. I'll be very happy to introduce Dr. Nitin Pillai to you all. Uh, Nitin Shankar Pillai is a postgraduate diploma in teaching English, that is PGDTE, from EFL University, Hyderabad, specializing in English language teaching with specific focus on language testing and assessment. A PhD in alternative language assessment strategies, which builds on his previous investigation into the concepts of higher order thinking skills and language assessment as a part of his Master of Philosophy title. He is also certified in language assessment by University of Maryland, Baltimore, and integrating critical thinking skills into the exploration of culture in an EFL setting by World Learning SIT Graduate Institute USA. His professional experience extends over uh, 10 years of teaching postgraduate and undergraduate management students. He's also an examiner for the International English Language Testing System, that is IELTS, with British Council and IDP since 2015. He has reached the quarterfinals, that is top 32 from 11,633 participants at the Know It All, the World Teachers Quiz 2020, organized by TCSI on and World Teacher Tribe. He has been awarded for his outstanding contribution to education by the Indian Council of Literary, Social, Education and Cultural Research, and is also the recipient of Justice Ibrahim Sheikh Award and Srimati Shardaben uh, Karavala Gold Medal for Excellence in Education. He has created 18 MOOCs for training teachers in the domain of language teaching and communication for UGC, HRDC, NRC. Right. So that's what Dr. Nitin Pillai for us today. And besides this elaborate achievements of Nitin Pillai, the bottom line is he is an excellent teacher, an excellent trainer, and that you will realize today. Without being further between you and Dr. Nitin Pillai, I would straight away hand over the session to Nitin sir. Nitin sir, welcome aboard SMPIC, GLS University Faculty of Commerce. It's over to you. The session is yours.
Thank you so much, Kevin sir. Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. It's when introductions like this are given that I feel that I've done something with life. But more than all of that, I still consider myself as a learner going ahead. But at the onset, I'll have to say that it is an absolute privilege to be at FOC SMPIC, and it's a pleasure to always interact with students of SMPIC. Thank you, Joki sir, for inviting me, and Kevin sir for coordinating. I'm just going to jump into the topic because I'm that excited to talk to you about. So if the PPT can be shared, I would directly go on to talk about it. All right, thank you so much, Kevin sir. So the topic that I'm going to talk about today is demystifying public speaking. Now, public speaking has a hegemony against it, right? People say that public speaking only we can teach you. Public speaking is extremely difficult. Public speaking is rocket science, whereas it's not. It's very simple. And today, what I'm going to aim by sharing my personal experiences with you is to shred the mystery around public speaking and to come to the concept of what it is at the core, right? And I'm going to share a lot of experiences that I have had which taught me what public speaking is. Unfortunately, I did not get it from books. I did not get it from classes. I did not get it from sessions like this while I started investigating what public speaking is. And it happened naturally. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. To start off, let me tell you one of the first things that taught me what public speaking is. And it did not, as I said, it did not happen in a training room. It happened at a very small place, which I tweeted about, and then I put it up on Instagram for my students to see. It was this particular incident. I was getting a haircut, and the barber, the artist, he said, "Bhagwane badhu aapyu tamne, pan sara vaal na aapya." That's it. In a matter of 30 seconds, this particular gentleman insulted me in front of 4 people, but I did not feel insulted at all. The beauty of that moment stuck with me, and the beauty was that simple. Look at this artist, somebody who does not have a formal education, somebody who might not be blessed with the kind of opportunities that we have had, but this person has the confidence to tell a customer about a nuance that he found. And then for the next 20 minutes, he went on to describe how, no matter what you have, no matter what kind of money you have, wealth you have, status and degrees and credentials you have, but if you don't have good hair, there's nothing. We may agree to him, we may not agree to him, but the confidence that he had, the courage that he had to stand in a room full of people and to tell a customer that I'm sorry, you have not been blessed with good hair, was a moment of revelation for me. This taught me something. It taught me about the courage and confidence that is required in public speaking. And I started thinking about it. I came to a conclusion. But while I was going on this area, I found another experience. So I was traveling. I was traveling from my home to the airport, and I asked the Uber driver, right, how much time would it take for me to reach the airport? And the Uber guy just said, "Bas Hanuman Chalisa and Jai Adhya Shakti Pate, ye pehla pahunchi jaishu." It's so simplistic. The magic in what he said was amazing. He could have told me that it would take 15 minutes. It could have told me it could take 20 minutes. He could have told me that it's going to take as much time as the app shows. And I would have forgotten him. But I still remember him, and I'm sharing what his experience with you, because this guy made a progress. This guy made a story. This guy made an analogy. He made a narrative for me. He told me that it's going to take this much time, 2 songs, 2 bhajans, and we would be there. And when I started talking with him, he went on to explain how, for them, for the drivers, and especially for him, distance was not in miles, distance was not in kilometers, it was how many songs he heard. And he went on to talk to me till the time that we reached the airport, and I was wrapped in attention listening to him. I did not look out of the window, I did not look into my phone, I just sat there and listened to him. And any of us who have had any experience of talking with Uber drivers would know how good they are at presentation, how good they are at public speaking. Again, not somebody who might have had a lot of formal education. So a progress and a movement is what this person taught me. I went ahead searching for what is public speaking, and it happens at most of the unnatural places, places that you wouldn't expect public speaking is happening. I was once at a vegetable vendor, and I asked the vegetable vendor, "भैया ये सब्जी सस्ती है या नहीं?" And he said, "बीवी के भाई के भाव में मिलेगा." And it was just, rather than saying that yes, these vegetables are cheap and they are not costly, and to explain how cheapness can be, he just brought in a character. I have no idea who his brother-in-law is. I have no interaction with him. Probably I don't even know this particular vendor, but what he said just made a lot of sense. In one statement, he made things so clear to us. He brought in the characters, he brought in an audience for me, and he understood what I wanted to ask, and he responded in one statement. And trust me, he was shouting this out loud in the middle of a busy vegetable market where everybody is trying to gain other people's attention. Rather than taking the common way, this person jumped into a different domain altogether, and he made this statement that sabji biwi ke bhai ke bhav mein milega. It is as cheap, as sasta as that particular gentleman. Now, if you look at these 3 examples, and the reason that I have shared them with you, and I tweet about them and I put it up on Instagram for my students to see, it's primarily because public speaking, as we understand, is not just happening in closed rooms with doors. It's happening extramural. It's happening beyond the walls. It's happening in common places. There are people out there who are doing public speaking necessarily not in English, but they are good at what they are doing. And that's where the learning comes from. Language is secondary. It's about the thematic development of what we want to say, which is the core of public speaking. So again, it's not the mystery of public speaking being rocket science. I just saw a tweet today. I just saw a program. Somebody in Ahmedabad is teaching fire speech, apparently. public speaking is called fire speech. There is turbo English that people teach, but it's not that difficult. It's just there's three things. There is there is courage or confidence, there is progress or movement, and then there are certain characters that are involved. And this is what makes public speaking. We generally believe that these are the people who are good at public speaking: politicians, CEOs, actors, orators, people who work in the corporates, right? We expect that these are the ones who are good at public speaking. I go on to theorize and say that there are other people, your Uber drivers, your saloon artists, your vendors, your security, your sub staff. If you have ever had a conversation with a security guard, it is amazing. He will present what has happened in front of you in such a beautiful narrative, which may probably a newspaper will fail to do that. Probably a CEO will not be able to explain the way that a security guard is able to explain this to you. So if you look at what is happening on the left hand side and what is happening on the right hand side, we see a clear difference. Left hand side, people with good education, probably people who are economically well off, and they do public speaking. On the right hand side, you have people who might not be blessed with good education, who might be struggling as far as economic safety is concerned, and they are on the right hand side. Both of them do public speaking. And if you look at more people, then you have your faculty members also who do public speaking. And we fall on both sides: well educated, financially struggling, but we still do public speaking. So then the question has to come. Then the question has to come: is this education? Is this experience? What is at the core of this mystery called public speaking? And I theorize and I would explain, or I would suggest that it's only these three things. Public speaking is nothing but storytelling. You need to weave a story, you need to talk to people. For you to do this storytelling, you need courage, like the saloon artist I encountered. You need to know how progress and movement happens, like the Uber driver did. You need to bring in characters, and you need to think about people who are listening to you, like what the vegetable vendor did. If you have these three formats, if you have the base for these three, your storytelling becomes amazing. And when your storytelling becomes amazing, your public speaking becomes amazing. Now, this could happen in a presentation. This could happen in a large meeting. This could happen in an interview. But storytelling is the core of it. Think of all these formats. While you're giving a presentation, you have a story to tell. You're not just talking about numbers, that sales increased, sales decreased. No. What is the story behind it? Why this happened? How can I rectify this? How do we solve this? When you are talking about a marketing failure, a marketing strategy failing, you are not just saying that, okay, this failed. You're trying to identify the reasons why it failed. When you're giving an interview, you are sitting in front of somebody and you're telling the story of your life. I am so and so. I did so and so. These are my credentials. This is my life story. These are my strengths. These are my weaknesses. Right? Hire me. That's what the core is. So, at the core, all kinds of public speaking fall into this simple base of courage, progress, and character. And I'm going to talk to you about how these things interact with each other in a dynamic field to create what good storytelling is about. So let's take up courage first of all. Why do we why do we worry? Why do we have this fear when it comes to public speaking? And this is something that plagues all of us, right? हम सबको डर लगता है जब पब्लिक स्पीकिंग की बात आती है, लोगों के सामने खड़े रह के बोलने की बात आती है, right? Why does this happen? Because it happens because of two main things, right? One is this clear Indian concept of log kya kahenge, right? There is a fear in us that if I mess up, what is going to happen, right? If I say something wrong, what is going to happen? And I would ask you to go back to the hair artist who insulted me. He didn't care. He had no problems in speaking his mind. He had no problems in saying what he felt, right? Kind of boorish of him, kind of risky of him, but at least he had courage. I did not stop going to him. I went again and again, right? Probably for validation, but I did. I agreed on what he said. I accepted his statement, and I went there. This "log kya kahenge" has destroyed a lot of dreams and has destroyed a lot of people from speaking. And this happens because of our early imprints. Now, anthropology will tell you this. that since the time that you grow up, the day that you are born, for a very long time, we are unfortunately stopped from expressing. That's a problem. I would ask you to travel a little bit back in time and think of the time when then you were children and something happened and you started crying. That crying was an expression of angst and anger and sadness, and probably the first thing that your parents told you was to stop crying, right? They threatened you further that if you keep crying, I'm going to beat you up more, right? Unfortunately, the early imprints are such in our life that we stop from expressing. As we grow older, this suppression takes the place of expression, and we stop speaking up because log kya kahenge. But if I were to tell you a small little way out of this, I would take the help of a wonderful, wonderful author called Sonia Hamlin, who writes how to talk to people so that they listen. She says this wonderful, wonderful thing, that why are you worried about log kya kahenge? Because there is no perfect 10. What she means by this is there is no 10 out of 10 in public speaking. There never is. Right? There is no perfection there. You can't say that this public speaking is best. No matter how much I believe that I'm doing good, there will be a few of you who would question what I'm talking about. There will be few of you who would doubt what I'm talking about. There will be few of you who would have probably switched off by now. I know that, but still it doesn't make me anxious. There is no anxiety in me because I know that there is no perfect 10. There is only a gradual progress to a perfect 10. I will start. I don't care about log kya kahenge. I will remove suppression and I will replace it with expression. I will start speaking. The day that I start speaking, I'll be a 1 out of 10. 10 में से एक ही मार्क मिला. The second time that I speak, I'll be a 2 out of 10. The third time it will be a 4 out of 10. And one day I'll near about reach 9.99. Probably never a 10. So if you look at multiple speeches, if you look at the top 100 public speaking speeches that are there, right? When Nehru mentioned the tryst with destiny, or Martin Luther King's I have a dream, those are the best speeches that they have given. Not all of their speeches are the best. So when people like them are suffering, right, why are we worried about it? She goes on to say, Sonia Hamlin goes on to say that stage fright is a myth. Again, there is nothing called stage fright. We are afraid because of the early imprints. We are afraid about what people will say, and we are afraid because we are looking for the best way to speak, whereas there is no best way to speak. Right? The vegetable vendor was not at all afraid when he stood in front of a market with hundreds of people around him and said, "Biwi ke bhai ke bhav mein milega." He was not afraid of that. Right? My saloon artist was not afraid of that. So the question is, why are you afraid? There is no perfect attempt. Once you start attempting, public speaking is like a skill. It's like playing cricket, it's like driving, it's like swimming. You just get better with time. That's it. Give it the time, give it the moment, and you will succeed. So courage is all about this. There's no perfect time. Move ahead. Then we start thinking about this progress and movement, right? And I take the help of Nancy Duart, who's an amazing author, and she writes for Harvard Business Review. She says that generally the problem is that people are unable to space out, or the people are unable to structure their story. So yes sir, मुझे डर नहीं लगता, I will go out and speak, but what do I speak and how do I speak it, right? How do I arrange this entire thing? Well, the way to arrange this entire thing is right here. Your topic can be chronological, it can be arranged according to time. Your topic can be spatial, it can be arranged according to the geography of certain things. It can be topical. You take one topic, you explain about it, you go to the next topic and create links as you go along. Your topic can be cause and effect. So there is a cause and the effect of it. It can be problem or solution. Once I understand this nuance, I know how to make progress. So my Uber driver does a cause and effect concept to me. What is the cause? Right, sir, the road is very long. We have to drive the entire day. If we start looking at number of hours, we'll never be able to enjoy it. If we start looking at the amount of money that I have earned, some days would be good, some days would be bad. Better to look at it. The effect is that I've started looking at it in terms of music, because music gives me a high, music gives me the pleasure that I want. So why not look at that? This arrangement of what you are going to say, Whether it be a presentation, whether it is an interview, whether it is public speaking in large groups, whether it is meetings, if you can do this, life is set, because things fall into place when you start talking about these things, right? When you give a presentation, probably you're talking about the history of a company. You very well know that you just need to go chronological. Where the company started, where is it now? If you are going by what happened in a company, you're taking up the biggest scams that have happened in presentation. You're talking about the biggest corporate scams that have happened. You might talk about the cause and the effect, right? You're talking about the billionaires that faced challenges. You're talking about problem and solution and how they got out of it, right? People who are more into the fields of architecture, those who are into the field of spatial understanding, they will go for the spatial chronology, explaining how the entire room will be laid out, how the entire factory is going to be laid out, how the entire office is going to be laid out. Those who are in operations also end up doing this. So arrangement and progress is linked. And if you have these things, it becomes easy for you to start talking about it. That's what my Uber driver did. Now, when we come to the last part, or when we come to the third key area, the third pillar, it is about the characters and the people. Right? Probably you start need to start looking at who your audience is, right? Who are they and what do they want? So if I were to ask this question today, and I had a discussion with Dr. Keyur Vora about this, who will be the audience? So he told me that it's going to be this vibrant set of students from SMPIC. I know what your students are like. I know what they want. I know what they like. Right? If I were to come up with theory after theory about how communication, the paradigms work in communication, how public speaking is laid out in terms of linguistic characteristics, probably we will not be able to have a good interaction. So I need to figure out who you are. I need to understand what they want. So probably today, if you guys are listening to me, you are not just imagining yourself in front of a large audience giving a speech. You're also looking at yourself giving a presentation. You're also imagining yourself giving an interview. You're also imagining yourself conducting a meeting. That level of professionality which you guys have is something that I understand. And unless and until I understand this, I'll not be able to connect with you. Once I have this, then Carmine Gallo, who's written this amazing book, Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs, says that the audience needs to be given two things. One is the FAB model. Now, this FAB model comes from management. It's not core language in English, but we borrow from them. So the FAB model is very simple. If I were to give the features to my audience, they really don't bother about the features, right? The features mean nothing. Facts mean nothing to me unless and until I know how it benefits me. I could tell you that the greatest speeches in this world include the 6 minute clip from Charlie Chaplin's movie, but the first time that he spoke, right? That is one of the greatest speech. I could tell you Nehru's Tryst with Destiny is an amazing, amazing speech, but it doesn't matter to you because that's a feature. You will start asking, these features are great. I understand the attributes of this speech also, but how does it benefit me? What do I get out of this? And an audience will always ask this particular question. So when I went to my vendor and asked him, is this cheap? And he said, BV ke bhai ke bhav mein milega. He very well was able to tell me that this is inexpensive, this is cheap, that's your benefit. He didn't tell me that this vegetable has come from so and so place and it's organic and it has been made by without using any chemicals. He didn't give me those features, he gave me the benefits of it. And those benefits are what keeps the audience engaged, keeps the audience listening to you. Otherwise they will give away, they will stop. Fab, once you understand Fab, then you need to go to logos, ethos, and pathos. And Carmine Gallo wrote another brilliant article in Harvard Business Review where he said that in the last 1,000 years, public speaking and persuasion have not changed at all. They still work on these three things: logos, ethos, and pathos. If you were to decode this, the first thing that I would focus on is ethos. Right? You need to have some credibility while you are speaking so that the other people listen to you. In today's interaction also, in the wonderful discussion description that Dr. K. Vora gave, he said that I have done X, Y, Z things. He created a environment for you guys to trust it. And some of you said that, okay, I'll listen to Nitin sir just because he has so many great, amazing things to say. Now that is ethos. There is some credibility that I have. But in the first 5-10 minutes, if I don't live up to that credibility, I'll not be able to hold on to your attention. And this is something that we need to do. Credibility. Ethos talks about the credibility of the speaker. If the speaker is good, if the speaker has credibility, then people will listen. Public speaking will happen like that, right? I trusted, I still trust the barber who insulted me because he's good at his work. That's why I will trust what he says. That's the credibility. It's not about your credentials at all. You might have X number of degrees, but if you can't live up to the trust that people have on you, it doesn't work at all. So ethos comes first. Then comes logos. Now, logos would actually mean that there has to be some logic to what I am saying. There has to be some backing to what I am saying. It has to be supported by something. And if I don't have that, then it doesn't make sense at all. So probably when I tell you that Uber drivers are amazing public speakers, many of you have had good experience like that. You have had conversations with Uber drivers. You would have had wonderful discussions with watchmen, security guards. You would have an amazing conversation at just with somebody who's selling tea, and you just ask him how was the business, and he goes on to explain the entire economy of what is happening right now. If you have that experience, then what I have said is logical. So I need to link it like that. If you are speaking, if you're public speaking, and that this is where most of us fail, we are unable to connect it with what is happening in reality, and that's the reason that we fail. This happens in interviews also. So when you are called for an interview, it's very clear that you have the credentials, right? You have amazing score, you have wonderful skills, you have written that you have strengths. When you sit across the table and they ask you, okay, tell me something about yourself, and you say, well, I'm a very confident person, and he says, prove it, and you don't have any answers, that's a failure of public speaking, right? When you give a presentation over here, the data is there, the data is right there, but how do you analyze the data? How do you present it in the form of a story which looks logical? That is what your audience is looking at, right? Clearly, if I don't have ethos, if I don't have credibility, and if I'm not able to build on logic, then nothing is going to happen, right? But if I can do both of these, then I go to pathos, and pathos is all about emotions, right? It's proven that when people listen to public speaking, there is an element of emotional connection that they attach to it. And that's the reason that orators generally try to rally up people while they are speaking. I have a dream. Now that evokes some emotion in us, right? It creates a kind of a what they call it is an emotional molecule. They call it an emotional molecule that happens in the body. It's not just scientific oxytocin, dopamine that are working there. They call it the emotional molecule. That's something that triggers us. Either it's going to be pleasant, or it's going to be unpleasant, but there is a reaction that we give. Once we give that reaction, that emotion, the pathos, that's when we start connecting with what is being said. Unless and until we move it, unless and until it moves us emotionally, we will not follow it. So you as a speaker need to understand what connects with your audience, right? Who your audience is and how they will emotionally move. Again, I tried to do that. I'm not sure how much I have succeeded or how much I have failed. When I started talking to you about real life experiences of Uber drivers and salon artists and vegetable vendors, and what I do on Twitter and what I put on Instagram, I'm not sure whether I connected with you or not, but I tried to do that. Even if I fail, I'll not say that, okay, I'm a bad public speaker, because there is no perfect 10, and I understand it. So probably I'll go back to my drawing board, change a few things, add a few elements to it, do an analysis of my audience again, and then bring certain more examples which connect with my audience on an emotional level. If I can do that, then I have had a good public speaking experience. Now, when I say pathos, please don't understand it as emotional in the terms of tear jerking. No, it's not about that. It's about, it could be a cerebral connect also. It could be a cerebral connect also, that somebody likes the kind of intelligence that you have. It could be a connect of motivation. It could be a connect of wanting to do something, right? Taking up challenges, which is what we do in interviews when we sit across table. We don't ask for a job based on the fact that I am, I'm a garib hu, please give me a job. We don't do that, but we connect with the other guy on the basis of the fact that I want to work, pay me for it, and the person says I want a good employee, I'll pay you for it. That's the kind of emotional connect that I'm talking about. So if you know your audience, if you can give them features, not just features but benefits, and if you can connect on logos, ethos and pathos, your job is done. I circle back to this. Storytelling is nothing but these three things. Have the courage, because there is no perfect 10, right? Leave the early impressions aside, right? If you want to create a story, if you want to show progress and movement, all that you need to do is look at whether your topics are topical, spatial, chronological, cause or effect, or problem and solution. Once you understand that, figure it out, then look at your audience, then look at the people. Is your audience more ethos driven? Is your audience more pathos driven? Is your audience more logos driven? Understand that, give them the benefits of having listened to you, and your storytelling works that way. This is all that there is to public speaking. This is the bedrock of public speaking, and that's why we say that there is no mystery surrounding it. There are multiple layers beyond this, but once you understand that this basic, the mystery is solved, uh, you can go beyond and do whatever you want to do. So I'll stop over there, and I want you to simmer with these thoughts. Come back to us, tell us whether this makes sense or not. Again, as I said, I might not have succeeded, but I wouldn't worry about it, because there's no perfect 10 on this, right? Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks a lot. It was a wonderful session, Nitin sir, and definitely there's no point for you to raise this whether you could connect to the students or not. You yourself know that it was very interesting. There are a couple of questions which I will read to you, right? And you need to throw some light on that. One of the students is asking, okay, of course, sir, you are saying that stage fright is a myth and it should not have, and we should keep confidence and all those things. But the reality is reality, right? And he says that I have tried this many times. I've tried to gather confidence and tried to tell myself several times that nothing is going to happen or not. But whenever I climb on the stage to speak, uh, something happens. I look at the audience and I look at their eyes and I tend to forget, right? So I feel more confident when I have a piece of paper in my hand and if I could read. But then sometimes it's not allowed, or the other way, the other times if I'm reading from a paper, I'm not able to establish a connect with my audience. So ultimately, stage fear is a reality, and practically, can you tell something how to overcome this?
Correct. It's a very common question that everybody feels, and they feel that when we say stage fright is a myth, they feel that we are giving out just gyan. I am also a man of numbers, and I believe in this concept of probability, right? It's a sheer matter of numbers. You do it thrice, the third time you are afraid. You do it 5 times, 6 times, 8 times, 10th time, the intensity reduces. It is a pure game of numbers. And that's the reason that we say that it's public speaking skill. So the difference between knowledge and skill is that skill is generally a competence that you are showing. It's a proficiency that you are showing, and proficiency and competence only comes with repeated activity. So you might be at a 50th attempt of standing in front of people and talking to them, and the fright is there. Probably in the 100th one it will not be there, right? People who are good at public speaking don't just stand up one day and believe that, okay, I'm good at it and I'm going to speak about it. It happens gradually, and it happens because of the numerical data behind it. It is just a repeated activity. Trust me on this. It might be the 10th time and you're afraid when you look at people. Those people are no better than you. Those people are there because you have to give them something. The next time that you get up on the stage and you speak and they smile back, not laughter, but they smile back, you know that your movement and progress has happened. That will give you the confidence to go the next time. Even if that doesn't happen, the concept or the topic or the understanding that there is no perfection in this, there is only improvement that is going to happen, should give you the idea that I need to keep doing this. It's going to happen one day. That magical moment is going to happen one particular day, and that's about it. So give it the time, give it the number that is required. That's what I would say to that.
Thank you so much, Nitin sir. I think the student has got the answer, and the bottom line, as you said, is that you have to train yourself. You have to train your own psyche that what you are seeing before your eyes, the audience and everything, is a normal sight. So you have to make that sight a routine sight if that sight frightens you. And once it becomes a routine sight, then it will not frighten you anymore. That's what Nitin sir had to say. And uh, uh, that's all, friends. We are at the end of this session. Once again, I would like to thank Nitin sir for making this a very interesting session instead of making this you know, a session full of theoretical boredom. But you made it very interesting. The way you started and all those things, it definitely must have generated a lot of interest among the students. Uh, Before I wrap up the session, Bimal sir has something to
How
ask.
can I improve my dictions and ups and downs during the public speech?
Just a moment.
How can I improve both my dictions and the ups and downs? You may please repeat the question, Kev sir.
Yes. I'm repeating the question. Nitin sir, Bimal sir is asking that apart from all those things, if one wants to improve or work upon the diction and the voice modulation, which way it can be done? What's the easier way to do that?
I believe that Bimal sir is the best answer to that. The way that he modulates his voice, I don't think anybody on campus is able to do that. But but it's a very valid question. I would say that as long as paralanguage is concerned, we try to distinguish between the paralanguage that we use in our mother tongue and the way that we use it in English or a second language or a foreign language. Actually, there is no difference in the two, right? The way that our paralanguage works, modulation, articulation, stress, pronunciation, it works in the mother tongue. It's very similar to what we should try and do it in our second language also, which is a foreign language, which is English also. So when we talk in Gujarati or Hindi and we say things like kya yaar, kya kar raha hai, right? The same thing happens in your public speaking also. It happens in your interview also. It's the same concept that is being allotted onto this. It is being superimposed to this. So one and this is being proven theoretically right now. There's a lot of research happening in ELT where they are saying that L1, which is our mother tongue, it scaffolds L2, which is the second language that we are learning. So the more experience that we have with our mother tongue and the paralanguage of our mother tongue, and if we are able to apply it onto the second language, it's going to be better. We cannot ignore that the richness of mother tongue in terms of creating paralanguage and emotions is not there in second language. So take that, superimpose on this, and it becomes easy.
Thank you so much, Nitin sir. So I think that's the and that's it for today. There are no more questions, and whichever I think you didn't leave much scope for the students to have more questions because it seems most of their curiosity and questions are answered very nicely and in a very convincing and lucid manner by you. Thank you so much. On behalf of GLS University's SMPIC Faculty of Commerce, I would like to extend heartfelt gratitude to you on behalf of the students also for engaging such a wonderful session. I would also like to thank and take this opportunity and thank our Dean, Dr. Marjun Joki, for making this happen, organizing such beautiful expert sessions for the benefit not only of the students but of the faculty also, because we learn from each other's experience and expertise. Special thanks to my colleagues who have been helping me in all those things. Thanks to Dean sir, Bhavin sir, for helping facilitated this session. Uh, that's it, students. But I'm sure you found this session very wonderful, as we all have so far discussion about it. Again, thank you so much, Nitin sir, and that's the end. Thank you.